Hello and welcome to Great Things Tampa Bay, the podcast about great eats, great places, and great people in the greater Tampa Bay area. I'm your host, Kyle Sasser, a Tampa Bay native and a realtor. This is episode 4, Vesuvio. And in this episode, we cover my favorite Italian restaurant over in Tampa. And we also have another segment of our interview with Andy from the Urban Group. We also have a contest challenge with a little reward, a little gift card for you for your participation. So please be sure to take a listen and check that out. And finally, a little jungle survival tip. If you ever find yourself in the wilds of the Congo, please stay tuned because it might just save your life. I'd like to thank you for inviting me along on your commute to work, or maybe you're listening to me when you're bicycling around somewhere. Probably shouldn't be listening to me while you're bicycling. Please take at least one ear out so you can hear oncoming traffic. I just want you to be safe and finish this episode. And we want to interact with you, our listeners. Easiest way to find us is online at our website, Great Things TB, that's GreatThingsTB.com. And on there, you will see a link that says Get Social at the top, and you just click on there, and that has a link to all of our social profiles that are currently active. And we're currently active on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. So take a look there, and let's connect. Please send us messages. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what your favorite restaurant is, or what dish we should have tried at the restaurants we talk about. Segment 1, Vesuvio. So the restaurant I'm going to be talking about today is Bella's Italian Cafe. It's located over at 1413 South Howard Avenue over in Tampa. The place has been there since 1986. I have eaten there at least since 1997 or 8. So there's two different types of Italian to me. As you can tell, I definitely love categorizing things. So there is the Italian that I call like high cuisine, which is, fancy ingredients. And, everything is prepared to the hilt. Parsley is arranged just so, and then it's presented on a pretty plate. And then the other side of that is what I like to call Mama's Italian, which is, just the good old classics. Maybe some fettuccine alfredo, some pasta, some pizza, that sort of stuff. Maybe some fish. Bella's Cafe is definitely on the Mama's Italian side of that, and it is the best in the area. There are a couple other Italian restaurants in the area that I would recommend. Il Ritorno, if you want the fancy Italian, and then Pia's out in Gulfport, if you want to split the difference. So it's like halfway between Mama's Italian and the fancy Italian. So like at Pia's, they make all their own pastas and all that stuff. Both of those places are absolutely delicious. Quite a bit different experience from Bella's, though. So you go to Bella's, and it has been updated relatively recently. It's a nice interior. They have a great bar section there. There is almost always a bunch of people there. Parking can be difficult. Thankfully, they have put in a valet in the last few years. You used to have to park on this nightmare of a parking lot in the location they're at on Howard, but thankfully with the valet there, you just drive up, hand them the keys, and you walk off, and that's awesome. So you don't have to worry about trying to park. I used to have a Ford F-150 truck and just trying to park that thing. So anyway, get the valet. And you walk in, the place looks nice. The bar is usually hopping. 9 times out of 10, there's going to be, 20, 30, 40 people there. It's going to be lively. Servers are going to be walking around everywhere. You're going to be able to see right into the kitchen. And they actually did that before that was a big thing. So you can see in there, they have their pizza oven, which you can see them cooking on. It's not like you're in a diner and you're just sitting there staring at people making food. So the seating I would call relatively intimate, lots of booze. Without further ado, on to the more important part, the food. So when I first started going there, I would get the fish, and I'm not really too big on fish prepared out at restaurants. I do make a mean salmon at home, and my wife tells me that it's the best one she's ever had. It does involve a little smoking and lump charcoal action, and some soy sauce and some honey, and it's absolutely amazing. But whenever I eat out at a restaurant, I usually shy away from the food. I made an exception in Bella's case, and when I first went there, I would get the maple glazed salmon on a cedar plank, which I had never had before. My culinary experience when I was younger was relatively limited, It was mainly restricted to Outbacks, Applebee's, that sort of stuff. Plant City, we had this place called Buddy Freddy's, which I'd eaten there, and, that sort of thing. So this was me kind of stepping outside of my range a little bit. And whenever they brought it out, it was this perfectly cooked salmon fillet. It was on a cedar plank that was still smoking from being cooked. And the combination of the maple glaze on the salmon and the smoking cedar, it blew my mind. I won't say it inspired me to learn how to cook because I did not at that point in time, but it really made me wish that I would learn how to cook, put it that way. It wasn't until years later that I actually took an interest in learning how to cook something. Since then, I also had tried the pizzas they have there, which are also great. They were one of the first places with an actual pizza oven that I had eaten at. I'm sure there was other places around, but me personally, it was the first place I ate out with one. And absolutely delicious. I know nowadays, it's kind of a trend, you do see them around, but their pizzas and flatbreads are absolutely amazing. So that moves us on to my favorite entree, confetti spaghetti. I wanted to get this right, so I bought the book. So this place is so awesome. The owner and chef actually wrote a cookbook that details all of the dishes on their menu. And of course, I love this place so much, I had to have it. I bought it right then. And coincidentally, the owner was there at the bar and signed the book for me, which was very nice. So if she's listening to that, thank you. So my favorite entree is confetti spaghetti. And I've ordered this for probably 12 years now and have not had anything else there. I might have had a bite of my wife's stuff on occasion, but confetti spaghetti is the only thing I've eaten there. And basically, it's a pasta, obviously. It has spaghetti in the name. But the secret is both the sauce and how it's prepared. And it's basically a combination of tomato cream sauce, which I don't know why more places don't do that. Like, tomato is great by itself, and cream is great by itself, but you combine them both, become something much, much stronger. Having bought the book, I have actually prepared this myself, and it came out equally amazing. And the secret I have found is that it is cooked with bacon. Obviously, bacon makes everything better. But yeah, when you prepare this with bacon, it is ridiculously good. So the dish is basically spaghetti pasta in a tomato cream sauce with basil, bacon, diced tomatoes, some peppers, some scallions, and some peas, and basil, and some parsley, and some Parmigiano, and that makes it absolutely delicious. I have not met one person that was ever disappointed by this dish. So when you go there, make sure at least one person that's there orders this dish. I know some other stuff is pretty good, the ensalada mista. And the reason their stuff is so delicious is because they make everything in-house fresh every day. And again, they have been doing this since 1986. They were one of the few places that were. Farm to table thing has really changed that a lot, and it's pretty typical nowadays, as long as you stay away from chain restaurants and stuff like that, to find a place that will prepare everything every day, every morning from fresh ingredients. But in a sea of mediocrity, Bella's was the one bright and shining beacon in my culinary life. So hats off to Bella's. And of course, they would not be the best without a stupendous dessert. And that's where we get the name of this episode from, Vesuvio. So Vesuvio, obviously, the volcano, it blew its top, and this dessert will make you blow your top, which is a horrible joke to introduce a stupendous dessert. So, of course, it is chocolate, because that's my thing, and it is a lava cake. And I know y'all are rolling your eyes, because this is like the second or third lava cake that I've done. I don't care, I love them. This one is the lava cake to end all lava cakes. Even if you don't like chocolate, this thing will still blow your mind. My wife, she likes chocolate, but she's not as big on it as I am, obviously. I have a problem with, chocolate and I, we have a love-hate relationship. But yeah, even people who don't like chocolate, anytime I've had them try this dish, it's like, oh man, that's good. So yeah, so it's more of a cakey sponge, and it's thick, so you do get a good piece of cake there. And then inside, it's an ample portion of melted chocolate. Not too much, not too little. If you remember my previous episode, my complaint was that the one that I had at Celine, the sponge was a little too dense, and the melted chocolate in the middle a little too much. Bella's to me has the perfect combination of both. And then on top of that, they put ice cream. And I know that description sounds like every other lava cake ever made. They throw them by the boatload off the back of the Cisco trucks. This one is made with love by the people at Bella's, and it shows through. Just give it a try, and it'll blow your mind. So that's Bella's Italian Cafe. Absolutely amazing. If you want some of the greatest Italian food in Tampa Bay, definitely go there. I am going to be reviewing Pia's and Il Ritorno in a few later episodes, but I wanted to lead off with my favorite here. Just their longevity, and they have maintained the same quality throughout that, coupled with the fact that they put a cookbook out. It's an amazing place. I love it. I've had birthdays there. They've always been great. I've never had bad service there. Can't say enough good things about them. Bon appetit. And Bella's, I love you. So... Segment 2, Urban Interview. So for this segment, I would like to continue our interview with Andy of the Urban Group here of the Urban Restaurants in St. Pete. I had a great time sitting down with him. This was from a few weeks ago, and this was also, we used a segment of this for episode 2, and just wanted to continue the interview so you could get to know him a little bit better. And without further ado, here we go. So besides your restaurants, what's your favorite place in the Tampa Bay area? And it could be like a restaurant, a park, like just some place you go to rewind or...
My house.
Well, tell me about it. What do you like about your house?
My son. That's
right.
That's any chance I get to kind of.
Right. And I promise I'm not going to give the address out. We're not.
So what I found myself doing now is when we have employee meetings or get-togethers or whatever, I'm trying to keep everything here within the district.
Mm-hmm.
I want to grow this part of town between 16th Street and 31st Street, and I think we are the place where the locals go. Mm-hmm. We have tourists come down here. Beach Drive, I think, has turned much more into tourism, and to where some folks that live really close to Beach Drive go. Old Northeast and those neighborhoods north of there kind of feed off of 4th Street and go downtown a little bit. Mm-hmm. The Edge is able to get some spillover. And so the Grand Central District has been supported greatly by Kenwood and historic Kenwood. And I think we're starting to see more people come up the street, and I think that's only going to improve over time. We have much better infrastructure for parking than a lot of these other neighborhoods.
Edge is pretty tough to find parking in sometimes.
And I don't think that's going to improve anytime soon. What we need to do a better job of is all these neighborhoods in Pasadena and closer to Treasure Island and even further down Tierra Verde. A lot of times they get on the freeway, they come up to 75, get off on 31st Street, and they just fly down First Avenue South and don't even realize there's anything here. And so we need to do a job collectively as a group here in the district of educating those people, and being open to the idea that we are the place where the locals go.
I've been in the area I've always lived in like Tampa, St. Pete, since I was 18. And like it's very, very recent that the Edge is built up, like the last year and a half, 2 years. And the Central District was always, the little shops and there was a few restaurants, Key West Place. It's now changed, but they used to be a great chef there. But like this area has really come along. I used to get my hair done up the street. But like you said, like this was the place where most of the locals came. Beach Drive was more of a, like, I don't want to say the channel side of St. Pete, but it's a little more commercial and a little more not independent, I guess you could say. Like most of the restaurants down there are independent. But, they're a little bit more like of a corporate feel, I guess you could say. I work with Keller Williams St. Pete, so I'm down there all the time. So I know. But I love this area too.
Well, historically, these neighborhoods is where the working class families worked that service the city. And so historically, this is where the locals shopped and played and ate.
And I read recently they're going to be building some affordable apartments in Kidwood. That's a project that's coming up. So.
Saw that going on too,
That's awesome. What fires you up more than anything? This could be what makes you really happy or what makes you really pissed.
So really happy would be when employees are confused as the owner.
Okay.
When customers think an employee is an owner.
Okay.
I think that's awesome. That's our end goal. Is I wanted to create a brand, not a face or a personality.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy, and so I don't want to have to be on call 24/7.
Well, you call it laziness. I call it efficiency.
Sure.
You want people to take ownership. I mean, most people are smart enough to take care of a lot of problems that come up. Like personally, I always try to hand them off what I was doing, give them enough freedom to come up with their own process for it, within bounds. Like all I care about is this input comes out and this is what I want to come out of it.
Yeah.
How you get there, as long as it makes sense and it's efficient, whatever.
Yeah. As far as what sets me off in the other direction, I would say the opposite of that is just lack of caring, lack of being cognizant, sending out a plate that obviously is wrong, and then you see it pass through 3 different channels. The cook puts it in the window, and then the food runner runs it, and the server comes by the table and looks at it. Yeah. And it's like, how did none of you guys catch this?
Yeah, somebody should have seen that. All right. Do y'all have I'm guessing y'all have some sort of training program then, or?
Yeah, and that's part of the organizational change that we're going through. There's different people that train in each location. We're going to centralize that to just one person, and then the one person that is going to be doing the training is either the GM on the front of the house side, because they're ultimately responsible for the results of that person, and on the back of the house side, it's going to be the kitchen operations manager, because it's the same thing. So if you teach a dishwasher how to do something and they don't do it right, well, it's your fault because he works for you. So we'll hopefully we can sustain that. We'll see. I know, with our plans for growth and everything, that's going to become a full-time position for somebody, just to train people. Yeah, absolutely. But I want to keep these ties as short as possible. So basically, maybe like 1 or 2 steps between, I guess, not the bottom rung, but like the entry level and. Yes and no, because I think you can only effectively manage probably 7 to 10 people, and then your organization can really only be effective up to a point of about 50 people. So across all of our entities right now, we're probably about 48, 49, but by doing this management company idea, we're essentially creating a new entity and knocking that back down to 8 people. Yeah. And then that will grow over time, and these restaurants will grow over time, but something I want to be careful of is when we see a body get too big, to separate these things off, to keep that small. Because usually, like as you're growing an organization like that, you usually have to peel responsibilities off of people. It's an exercise I do a lot of, not like every day, probably every couple months, is write down what are my responsibilities, and then what are responsibilities of an owner, what are responsibilities of a president, or whatever you want to call that person. Yeah. And so that's been a constant process the last 3 years. Of shaving these things off, shaving them off, and either creating new positions or adding responsibilities onto a position. And so that's an exercise we just went through this last week. Is that fun to you? Do you enjoy that part? I enjoy the strategy part of because I think it involves creativity. Yeah. Figuring out a logistical problem or figuring out an organizational problem. Because I'm passionate about building, and so whether that's people, processes, or products, that's what I want to do. And so when we're talking about 2017 is our time to build an organization, that is a lot of figuring out org charts and chain of commands, all the responsibilities you have to cover and where they lie. Because our basic philosophy is going to, if it's outside of plating food or serving food, then that responsibility lies within the management company. And it's a really simplistic way to look at a pretty complex operation, but you have to have some type of kind of guiding light. I forget who said it, but simplicity is the most elegant complexity. Because it's like it takes so much just like skill and vision and all that to break things down into simple jobs and then put that out to people and then have everything run efficiently. Like anybody can be back and barking orders and giving setting rules and stuff like that, but to actually build an organization where everyone wants to be there and is pulling towards a successful goal is like that to me is magic. We'll see. We're gonna have some tough learning curves ahead of us the next couple of months to figure this thing out and keep everything going and grow at the same time. But I mean, I wouldn't be doing it, but I think we could do it. Awesome. Any good jokes or quotes? The greatest motivation comes from desperation, and so that's kind of a key indicator for me when I meet people of why they want to do something. Yeah. It's because some people want to do something and some people have to do something. So honestly, if someone tells me that they have kids and they have to feed them, I'm like, this guy's serious. Yeah. Or this girl's serious. I mean, some people just kind of naturally have that drive. Do you find that, because I know that you're saying that you're building like more of an ownership among your employees, do you find that like when you show them that opportunity is available, that they step up more and like they pull a little bit more for you? Honestly, I think when people get closer to that level, most of them want it less. because then they look at, okay, what the risks and how I can't pass a problem on to anyone.
Yeah, like they're the end all be all.
Yeah.
Responsibility. Yeah.
And so we'll see how many folks really want to take that leap, because it is going to be a risk, and it has to be. You start with, is it the right thing to do? And there's different schools of thought on that. You know, you create something, you start something, and yes, these people help grow it, but these people also got fair compensation. So are they really entitled to anything more than that?
Yeah.
So I'm in the camp of, look, they did a good job, and sometimes people do deserve more than what they're getting paid, but then you have to look at it from a logical standpoint. Are you just giving away the farm?
Yeah.
And what you get out of being any type of employee-owned company or having profit sharing is more engagement from your employees. I think you build up goodwill in the community, because trend I'm seeing, well, I'm not just seeing it is a trend, big corporations and chains are losing market share to independent businesses, independent restaurants. People want to be able to walk in and see the owner. I'm not able to kind of fulfill my passion, which is building, and stay in one spot.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm going to continue building, but how do I not leave something kind of in a lurch because it no longer has the feel of being independently owned?
Yeah.
And so I think the one way to do that is to empower people that are in those stores and give them some type of ownership. But one of the other things that that model gives you is it differentiates us from other restaurants. And so there's a way to differentiate yourself with customers. There's also a way to differentiate yourself with employees.
Yeah.
And so if people know they can come to Urban and have a way greater chance of having a career in this industry, we're only going to get the better talent.
Exactly. And talent, you know, whenever you're building an organization, talent is the hardest thing to come by. Like, you can find most of the other stuff relatively easy, but finding talent and putting talent in the position like that, I mean, that is the most important part of building a successful organization.
The other quote I was going to give you is "Comparison is the thief of joy." It's by Teddy Roosevelt.
I like that one.
And I didn't quite get it when I first heard it, but what it really means is, we're doing what we're doing here at Urban, and we could compare ourselves to restaurants down in Beach Drive and say, wow, we suck.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing nearly as much as they do. Or we could just focus on what we're doing and how we're doing it and be content with that.
Exactly. I love it. Have you read Jay Alexander's book, The Power of Broke?
No.
He's one of the guys on Shark Tank, I think. He did the Fubu brands.
Okay.
He failed 4 times in the 80s and 90s before that brand finally took off. The entire book is about, because he didn't have, he mortgaged the farm and all that stuff. Failed 4 times, lost everything, and just kept at it. But the book is about like the motivation and the passion allows you to get more done than if you just had the money. Or like if somebody just gave you like the prime spot, like downtown,
right.
On beach, you wouldn't.
So I will never be as successful as any of those types of people because I don't have the drive to be that great.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't have the willingness to sacrifice what it takes to be that great. I'm not averse to risk. I take a lot of risks. But my number one priority is to be a dad and a husband.
Yeah.
And so automatically I kind of cut myself out.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, and that's the decision I made, and the greatest success in the world can't make up for failure in the home. Another quote for you.
Can I quote you? I quote you on that?
So my failures, I was fortunate enough to be presented with opportunities before I got in business for myself to help others start their companies and kind of see what they did right and what they did wrong. Worked for free for like 9 months building a website, and we launched it. Day 1 had great organic traffic, and day 2 the principal was out of money and we shut it down. So to have something that you
rough.
just poured into for free for that long, and then to see it just turn into nothing, But the reason why I took that chance is because it wasn't because the end result is what I was going to do during that whole time, what I was going to learn. And so I've done that a couple times, but I've had plenty of failures, and it's cheesy, but the way I look at it is failures are fantastic because if everything you do works out the way you want it, that means you already know how to do it.
Exactly.
And so you're not really learning anything.
Yeah. I always feel that like personal growth only comes from getting in, like becoming uncomfortable, because it means you're in uncharted territory.
But growth is change. That's what failures are highlighting, where you need to change.
Thanks to Andy for that interview. So again, that is Andy. He owns the urban groups, Urban Comforts, Urban BBQ, Urban Creamery, and Urban Deli. And they are located all up and down Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, and can't recommend them enough. Everything they make is delicious. You can go to any of the urban restaurants. This week, I would like to recommend that you go to Urban Comfort. They specialize in Southern comfort food. They also have a little shuffleboard outside and some delicious, delicious cocktails. So let your imagination run wild on how interesting that can get. Segment 3, let's get personal. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this, our 4th episode of Great Things Tampa Bay. As you can hear, I'm recording things a little differently. I do want to say that I have actually gotten some feedback from 2 of you, and I want to thank you for that. It is really difficult because I'm basically just sitting here in my office speaking to this microphone, and it's hard to judge and gauge if you're enjoying this, if you're not enjoying this, if maybe I should cut some stuff down. So please, your feedback is absolutely important to me. I can't make the podcast better without your input and feedback. Go to the website, click on the social links. So my challenge to you today is to tell me about your favorite burrito and burrito place. I have a couple that I like, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. I want to hear what you like. I'm giving away a $25 gift card to the Red Mesa group of restaurants over here in St. Petersburg. And I know you Tampa folks might be kind of miffed about that, but trust me, it's worth the drive. And we are going to be featuring a few more Tampa spots here in the future. So I want you to tell me about your favorite burrito place. And the best stories, I'm actually going to be going and trying those places. And we will be announcing a winner on episode 6 or 7. So please be sure to subscribe. You can find the entry to this contest on our website. It'll be on all of our social media. Go to our website, greatthingstb.com. Click on the link for the contest, and we will be announcing the winner. And I hope to find a new great burrito place. So bring your A game. So I'd also like to challenge you to share our podcast. If you share us with a friend, we will actually double your entry. So if you submit once and you share it with one friend, you get 2 entries, which doubles your chances to win. So be sure to share us. So that's about it. So the only other personal thing I'd like to share with you currently is that the dog is doing well. We introduced her on the first episode, and she's appeared in some of my real estate videos. So she's grown. She's actually doubled in size now from when we got her, which puts her up to a whopping 4.5 to 5 pounds. And the other thing is my wife, this weekend, she went down and swam with the sharks down in Jupiter. They were having a little team building exercise at her office. Yeah, so not sure if I would ever do such a thing. Sounds a little crazy to me, but who knows, maybe. And I also ordered 5 cubic yards of topsoil from A Tractor Works, which is a funny thing to sound so excited about. But, it's I'm of an age where making the house looks good is kind of important to me. So, yeah, that 5 yards, we were able to fill in around the house. I dug out some lava rocks that were around the house. So the dirt was actually below the stucco. It looked really bad, and ordered up from them. They were professional as always. I would definitely recommend them. Definitely a great company in St. Petersburg. I've dealt with them 5 or 6 times and always had a good experience. So if you need some landscaping stuff, except for sod, they don't have sod. But, if you need some landscape supplies, some fill dirt, some mulch, some stuff like that, definitely give them a call. And I'd also like to thank my dad for coming out and helping me spread that 5 yards around. It looked pretty daunting when it was just sitting there in the driveway. So thank you. Thank you, Pops. Segment 4, Jungle Survival. So this one's pretty quick, but it might save your life if you're chasing after Tarzan in the Congo or maybe the rainforest or something. And if you slice open a piece of skin on your arm and you need some sutures and you don't have needle and thread, find your nearest army ant pile and pick up a couple. And whenever they pinch and they hold. So you can actually use them as sutures to close the wound, which is pretty creepy, to be honest. I think one of the books I read on this actually said to tear the head off and they will stay closed. You might have to experiment. I know that is at the top of your list of things you want to do, but just so you know, it might save your life one day. If you're thinking about buying, moving, or selling a home, let's talk. I'd love to help you find your own great place in Tampa Bay. Give me a call at 727-300-2111, or you can send me an email at kyle@sassergroup.com. K as in khaki, Y as in Yahoo, L as in loco, E as in evil, at S as in saxophone, A as in Axeman, S as in swag, S as in spud, E as in evil, R as in risque, group.com. And you can join us on social media. Easiest way to find us on the web is to go to our website at greatthingstb.com. That's GreatThingsTB.com. And click on our Get Social link. We'd love for you to join our discussion group. You can get on there and talk about your favorite restaurants, throw some ideas around, and ask about, whatever you're looking for. And again, I'd like to remind you of the contest challenge for this week. You can win a $25 gift card to Red Mesa Group of Restaurants, which is Red Mesa on 4th Street, Red Mesa Cantina, which is downtown, and then Red Mesa Mercado, which is out in the Edge District. So you can find details for that contest on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, on our website. Just go there, it's going to be front and center. If you'd like show notes, transcripts, or additional information, you can find all that at our website, greatthingstb.com. And we thrive off your comments, likes, shares, questions, etc. So please come and interact and send us some messages, even if it's only to ask where the wildest winery in Waimama is. Another great thing about Tampa Bay, that is a good place to go ride a motorcycle. But that is for a future episode. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.